what really makes a life successful? It's something we all sort of grapple with, right? Often without even consciously thinking about it. But imagine this.
Yeah.
What if the life you've so carefully built, chased after, what if it turns out to be, well, hollow when you're facing the end? It's a chilling thought, really. And it speaks to that very human thing of pushing mortality away until you absolutely can't anymore.
It really does. We build these elaborate structures, these narratives for ourselves, trying to avoid the one big truth, don't we? And that exact confrontation. That's the raw heart of Leo Tolstoy's incredible novella, The Death of Ivan Illych.
Exactly. And we're talking Tolstoy here, the giant behind War and Peace, Anna Karenina. His name alone gives this book immense weight, what you might call ethos. It's signal this isn't just a story, it's a serious look at life and death. And for you listening, just so you know, you're experiencing a unique two-voice AI conversation powered by Google's NotebookLM, which allows for a, deeper, more dynamic book analysis.
Right. And much like our Mindful Moments series over on our YouTube channel, this analysis uses AI to help us dig in, hopefully sparking some real reflection and rational thought.
So our mission today is really to unpack the core ideas in this short but really powerful book. We want to explore Tolstoy's critique of society, those timeless questions about being authentic, finding meaning, and of course, facing death. Let's get into it.
Okay, so Tolstoy himself went through this huge spiritual shift before writing this in 1886. He was getting more and more critical of, 19th century Russian society, the materialism, the rigid social rules, the frankly empty routines of the upper classes he was part of.
Right. You have to picture that time. Strict class divides, lots of bureaucracy, and this kind of simmering crisis of meaning, especially for the wealthy.
Exactly. And he wrote this smack in the middle of his own personal spiritual turmoil and these big cultural shifts happening around him.
So you can almost feel his own existential urgency coming through the pages. What's really interesting, though, is that even though he was aiming his critique squarely at the Russian elite, the people, just like Ivan Illych, the themes just resonate so broadly, don't they? It feels universal. It speaks to anyone, really, when they're forced to think about their own mortality.
Absolutely. Tolstoy wasn't just trying to warn people. He wanted to provoke serious reflection. He wanted people to reassess what actually matters when you're looking death in the face. He's trying to expose the emptiness, the self-deception that can hide behind a life that looks successful on the outside. It's quite a confronting piece of work.
Which brings us right to Ivan Illych. He starts off as this middle-aged judge. The description makes him sound, perfectly fine. Capable, cheerful, good-natured, sociable. Almost painfully conventional. Living life by the book, society's book. Probably worried more about his furniture than his soul. But then, boom, a terminal illness hits him. And it forces him, brutally, to see how superficial his whole life has been.
And the way Tolstoy tells the story is just masterful. The structure, he doesn't start chronologically. He opens with Ivan's death, his funeral. Then we flash back to his life.
Yeah, that's so powerful.
It immediately frames everything, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The whole story becomes about figuring out life's meaning, but seen through the lens of its end. It forces you, the reader, right from the start to think about life backwards, essentially. It's a brilliant rhetorical choice.
It really is. It grabs you immediately. It makes you ask, okay, wait, what am I building my life on? And the tone shifts so dramatically, too. It starts off quite satirical, even mocking, reflecting Ivan's conventional, almost silly life.
Yeah, the focus on decorum and appearances.
Exactly. But as Ivan suffers more, the tone gets heavier, more introspective, and then finally almost redemptive. It feels like the book itself kind of wakes up alongside Ivan, moving towards this real spiritual depth and compassion.
And beyond just the plot, Tolstoy uses these rhetorical strategies so effectively. Think about the other characters. They're almost symbolic, aren't they? Ivan's wife, his colleagues, they basically represent denial, self-interest. They just can't handle his illness, his dying, because, it forces them to think about their own mortality. It's a defense, but a cold one.
But then you have Gerasim, the servant. He's completely different. He embodies simple kindness, authenticity. He doesn't pull away from Ivan's suffering. He actually helps him, holds his legs up, He's just present.
That contrast is crucial. Gerasim's simple compassion versus the profound indifference of Ivan's family and work friends. It highlights that even in the darkest times, there's a possibility for genuine connection, for redemption. It shows a different way to be human.
And the imagery. That black sack. It's such a visceral image of his fear, right? The dread of the unknown, of death closing in.
Yes, constantly pressing on him. But then right at the end, there's that mention of light. A symbol for truth, maybe acceptance, redemption breaking through.
Tolstoy also uses logic, or rather flawed logic, in such a clever way. Ivan has that thought, that syllogism.
Ah, the Caius is mortal bit.
Right. Men are mortal, Caius is mortal. But Ivan's fatal mistake, his delusion, is thinking, well, yes, but that doesn't apply to me, Ivan Ilych.
It's a logical error, sure, but Tolstoy uses it to expose that wider social tendency, doesn't he? How we all maybe try to exempt ourselves from the inevitable. It's tragically human, and the emotional impact, the pathos, is immense. Tolstoy pulls you right into Ivan's head, his fear, his isolation, his physical pain. You feel his desperation. And then Gerasim's simple kindness becomes even more powerful by contrast. It makes you feel pity for Ivan, definitely, but also this deep admiration for Gerasim's empathy. It really works on you emotionally.
Okay, so we've got the context, Ivan's story, the literary techniques. Let's pull back and look at the big themes Tolstoy tackles, themes that still hit hard today. First off, death and denial. That's the core conflict, isn't it? Tolstoy just skewers society's attempts to, sanitize death, wrap it up in rituals and polite avoidance. We still do that.
Absolutely. And related to that is detachment versus authenticity. Ivan chases propriety, fitting in, doing the right things, and ends up completely empty. While Gerasim, who is simple, direct, empathetic, he offers real comfort, real connection. It's a stark choice presented there.
And then there's the theme of spiritual awakening and redemption, which is maybe the most hopeful part, despite all the suffering. Ivan goes through this agonizing journey from total materialism through sheer terror to this final moment of clarity, of love, of acceptance.
Yes, Tolstoy isn't just showing us suffering for its own sake. He seems to be suggesting a path towards peace, even if it comes incredibly late. It's this profound affirmation of maybe love, humility, self-awareness, even right at the very end.
And you can't ignore the societal critique. He's definitely taking aim at the Russian professional class, the bureaucracy, the focus on status over substance.
For sure. Ivan's colleagues, his family, they highlight what happens when social roles and just superficial manners replace genuine feeling. But the genius is how it transcends that specific time and place. The book works because it forces all of us, you, the listener included, to see echoes of Ivan, perhaps, in ourselves or our own society. It makes that existential crisis feel universal.
Right. It really pushes you to examine what you consider success versus what actually gives life meaning. So the core insight of The Death of Ivan Ilych, it seems to be that real living, true living, might only start when we stop running from the end, that confronting mortality, accepting it, is maybe the only way to find real meaning. It's uncomfortable, yeah, but vital. Makes you rethink everything.
It certainly does. And if this discussion has sparked something for you, we encourage you to explore more through our Mindful Moments and our other podcasts. Keep that reflection going.
So here's a thought to leave you with, reflecting on Ivan's journey. What black sack of denial, maybe, or superficiality might you be carrying around, perhaps without fully realizing it? And what potential light, what truth or meaning might it be hiding, just waiting to be revealed in your life?
Definitely something to ponder. We hope you'll subscribe for more deep dives like this one. Maybe share it with someone who'd appreciate this kind of analysis. And if you're interested, consider picking up the book. There's a link in the description. Most importantly, keep thinking critically about these big, profound questions.